I feel there could be many mini messages in today's post, but my main message for you to take away is a way of thinking. Yes, a different way of thinking and perspective on how to actually stay consistent forever and not just short-term intensity. And I want to use a story that happened to me today. It's not a very exciting story, but it illustrates my point nicely. So over the last couple of days, I felt more fatigued than usual. Usually I have a lot of creativity. I'll sit down and do a post, a social media post or an app post within an hour, get it done, edit it, post it, send it off. The last couple of days hasn't been like that. And this morning was especially not like that. I came back from a surf, I trained, got my food for the week, sat down to do a post, and it was like that for about an hour. Hour and 15, I was still staring at a blank screen. So eventually I gave up and thought, okay, well, I'm not getting anything done. Maybe I'll make another coffee. Maybe I'll learn something. I really like studying. So I put something on, had my coffee there, started watching to extract some information to create a post. And what happened? I fell asleep. Unintentionally, just fell asleep and woke up about 25 minutes later. The video had finished. I didn't even see it. I laughed to myself as I woke up because what I realized was what I wanted to do, what I was trying to do was to force something. I was in a mindset of I have to, I need to, it must be done, I have to do it this way and it has to be out by this time. But my body needed something else. My body needed rest. My body needed to just take yourself away from your work for an hour, boy. Relax for a second. And then this quote, after I thought of this quote came to me from Arnold Patton. He's an author, a really wise writer, and I'm probably going to butcher this quote. He says something like, any action which comes from a place of need and obligation is inappropriate, and any action which comes from a place of love and peace is appropriate. I think I got that right. And my mindset was in that first category. Obligation, need, I have to, I'm forcing this, it must be done. But nothing good comes from that place, because that place is where short-term thinking lives. That's the place where things don't last long, because I can't keep that intensity up. But after napping, resting, recovering, that's when my ideas were flowing. That's when my creativity was high. And that's when I thought of this post. And that's where we need to live. That's the area we need to live, to always be turning up for our practices, to stay consistent. Because the first obligation, need and want and have to is a mindset of short-term thinking. Peace and love, support to yourself, and it sounds a bit lovey-dovey, but it's really true. When you have that mindset, it's consistent. So you, right now, might be in that place of obligation, have to, need to. It must be done. I must do it at this time. It needs to be done. And I'm not saying never think like that, because we do need to get things done. We do need to have that we need that oomph about us. But if you're always in that mindset, this is where you'll fall short. You may be very busy right now in life coming at you. You may be a busy mother, you're handling lots of things, work stress, financial stress, so many different stresses. And on top of that, you're in that need and obligation mindset of, I have to do my gym at this time. I have to do this 20 minutes today. I have to meditate. I have to make sure I'm eating perfectly today. So you're just adding another layer of stress on top of stress. What happens then? You'll eventually give up. You'll give up on yourself, you'll give up on your practices, because it simply gets too much. So we need to switch our mindset. To stay consistent, we need to come from a place of peace, love, and support to yourself. And you're probably thinking, well, how do I make that switch? That switch is giving yourself some grace, giving yourself permission to think, okay, I have this 20-minute session planned today. Life is chaotic. Do I have the energy to do this? And be honest with yourself as well. You may have the energy and think, you know what, I can do this. Come on. Coming from a place of support and peace and love for yourself is saying, well, I don't have the energy to do that 20 minutes. So what I'm going to do instead is plan it for tomorrow morning. But instead, I'm going to do some real light stretching and not that gym session. You're going from a place of have to, need to a place of, this is where I'm at. this is what I'm going to do. You may be trying to get your nutrition perfect. You're trying to perfect all of the calories, get everything right, and be the perfect eater. I have to do this. I need to eat this way. It must be done this way. Instead, you're coming from a place of, I've been really good this week. I've been eating consistent. Life has been hectic. I'm super stressed. You know what? I'm going to have a bit of chocolate and I'm going to get back on track tomorrow. It's not going to deter my progression. Coming from a place of peace and love. So it all comes back to giving yourself permission to adjust to life circumstances. Me adjusting today was to give myself permission, well, I was kind of forced to, give myself permission to rest and then come back to it. And not trying to hammer away, trying to force things. Because if I stayed in that mindset, I'd still be there and I'd get nothing done. And that is short term. Remember, have to, need to, obligation, forcing it will only last so long. And then you'll give up on yourself, you give up on your practices. But if you come from a place of peace, love, inner support, adjust, participate how you feel, then your practices are going to be consistent for long term. And a lot of people will say, well, isn't that a weak mindset? You're going from a real sturdy mindset to a bit of a weak mindset. No. We're thinking long term here. The people who are in that have to, need to, forcing, intensity mindset, they won't last long. What's that story? The tortoise and the hare? The tortoise outruns the hare because they're consistent. Whether they're going slow, whether they're having to adjust, having to make minor adjustments along the way, but they're moving forward. The hare is just intense, erratic, and eventually gives up. So I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully I've wrapped my message around. But don't be so intense. Give yourself permission to adjust to life's demands. And this way you're going to stay consistent with your practices forever and not short-term, week, month, and then hitting yourself in 2 months, 3 months, 6 months time, end of the year thinking, I gave up on it because I went too intense and I was trying to have to doing this and needing to do this or wanting to do all of this because it was intense and I wasn't consistent. So come from a place, peace, love, and you'll stay consistent. Thanks for your time. I hope that makes sense. And if it doesn't, let me know. I'll get more sleep.